But it was an overwhelming feeling to think that the Obama administration, the President of the United States, was actually going to make the Stonewall and what happened here a national monument. And it was such an incredible feeling as, a lesbian activist who never thought I would even see LGBTQ marriage passed, to have in that moment, that phone call to recognize that my story and my LGBTQ friends and family stories are going to be part of history and national history forever when that monument happened.
And also, Samantha Power was ambassador to the UN at that time. Her assistant called me up and said, Samantha Power would like to have a meeting upstairs. We have a downstairs and upstairs. Upstairs, have a UN meeting for the LGBTQ core. So I said, sure. She came here, and with 22 ambassadors throughout the world, and they had a meeting with their little name cards on each table. And at the end, she said, I got my picture with her, and she sent it to me. And it said, Kurt, today we made history.
The only way that the president can proclaim a national monument, the land has to be owned by the federal government. At the time, Christopher Park, which is across the street from the Stonewall Inn, where most of the uprising took place, was owned by the city of New York. So there were a lot of mechanisms that we had to go through in order to get that property transferred from the city to the state, to the federal government. And once it was transferred to the federal government, President Obama was able to execute the presidential proclamation.
Leading the designation for Stonewall was something I never expected. I have an environmental and conservation background, and it never occurred to me that I'd be working on such an important social and historical campaign. I designed the mechanics of the campaign, and it was so important for me to recognize right off the bat that the same things you do to protect a watershed or a forest or to fight for a clean river are the same campaign techniques that you use for fighting for a national monument, for a critically important historic site.
So I moved to the city right as this site was being created as a national monument. And that was an incredible experience to be here, seeing everyone celebrating, everyone's so excited. And it had been in the works for a while. And so we all knew that they were hopefully going to be able to create this as a national monument. But just the joy and the excitement that everyone had, that was such a fun moment to be here for.
One of the most important techniques in any campaign is to listen really hard when you're leading a campaign or you're part of a campaign. And the reason for that is that you have to understand the points of view of the people who want the change to happen. You have to understand the points of view of people who don't want the change to happen. And the change in this case was we wanted to make a national monument for Stonewall. And so that listening is really important for campaign techniques and to get them right. But the other thing that is so important about listening, and especially for Stonewall, is understanding why it meant so much to people and feeling that energy and that passion and that desire for national recognition for a place that was long overdue for national recognition. So I would say that the importance of listening and matching the passion and the feelings and the anger and the love that people tell you about a place, and matching that to excellent campaign techniques that you've also developed by listening really well, that's the kind of the perfect magic sauce for making something like this happen.
Stonewall National Monument is a teeny tiny little sliver of land, and there's no public restrooms, there's no visitor station, there's no area for our rangers to go out and take a break. So it's not the traditional sense of a national park, but our rangers have adapted to that environment.
The opposition had more to do with confusion about what a national monument was. People thought, maybe the Park Service will build a visitor center in the middle of beautiful Christopher Park or something like that. People were worried about extra noise or that type of thing. There was an issue with the amount of funding that it would take to create a new national park. And in 2016, we have to remember that the National Park Service budget was extremely tight, and the Northeast budget was very, very tight. And so to have a new national park with potentially no new funding was a major concern. And so we had to work for all of that. I'd also say that there was some opposition that we heard, but mostly not in New York. But we heard through some media and press that there was just questions of, why is something like this needed? This isn't important. This is another stretch of what the National Park Service is really all about. So we had to work through that.